Should we add her, or should we just...
I'll just leave her.
I will just leave her, yeah. Aye. I know she can hear us and everything, but...
You guys are hilarious.
I know, we like to think so.
Yes.
I've been on my deathbed and I make an effort to come and see you guys and you don't even want to let me play.
You're on your deathbed and yet Chris makes you make breakfast.
That's a good point, actually.
Yeah, poor.
It's because my breakfasts are infinitely better. Like he is the cook in this house, but there's one thing I'm good at, and it's a full Scottish. So
what is a full Spanish breakfast in that case?
I always say it's those, and I actually think this is Mexican. So the huevos rancheros, the eggs thing. However, Chris would tell you that him and his dad usually just like they would get a bowl of coffee and get like croissants and pastries, and then you like dip them in and eat them and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I think breakfast is as big a deal as... Yeah, probably. It's Spain.
I've seen that in Spain, Spanish cafes, guys sitting there before they're going to work and they just have a wee one, just, what do you call it, a stiffener, just to get them ready for the day, just a one wee drink, just a wee shot.
It's the another round approach to getting through life, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, don't tempt me to try that one. But I'm glad you mentioned Mexico in Spanish, because I was going to say Chiquitos do really good breakfast, but again, I don't think that's actually Spanish.
I think the burritos are the clue.
I mean, it's probably not even Mexican either.
Nah, probably not. No, I know. I don't even think, like, see, when you go to, like, Mexican restaurants, though, I always think that, like, the Mexican food that we get here is, like, the Americanized version of Mexican. I don't even think it's proper Mexican food.
I did that at uni. I actually spoke about that. We spoke about Taco Bell and how like one culture can assimilate another culture, then sell it back to them.
Yeah.
So you get Taco Bell in Mexico, for example, but it's American through and through. That's cultural appropriation.
That really is. Do Mexican people, like, if you were actually Mexican, would Taco Bell not just taste like pure cheap shit? Because it's not proper.
Yeah,
like,
probably.
I mean, it probably tastes like cheap shit. Like, anyway, please don't sue us, Taco Bell. But I just...
It's us.
Me. Me. So,
yes.
How have you guys been?
There's 2 thumbs up there, but you can't see the other one, so...
John, are you in a different room? You look tanned, you look really well lit, you look lovely.
No, I've turned the chair around so the window is actually facing me rather than at the side, because usually I'm sort of half shadow. You know? Yeah. I'm trying to work the light a wee bit better so that it looks okay if I ever go on Pakistani television, you know?
I know, Sammy, how did that even come about? That's so random.
Basically, is it Michelle?
Mm-hmm.
DM'd me, slid at my DMs last week. And it's obviously message requests because I don't get the DMs unless I'm following the person. And my first thought was, this looks a bit dodgy. This is probably some sort of like scam and it'll ask for my credit card details or something. But I googled them and stuff. I was like, right, that seems like a legit type thing. I've got a lot of followers. So I just go back to them and I said to her, yeah, cool. What do you want me to do? And so I said, we'll come on, we'll talk about a film. I was like, any film? She went, yeah. So I picked some films. They're a bit too old, so something more kind of current. I went, well, we can pick something current if you want, because I've seen a few things recently. So I submitted a few different options and they selected it. And they really wanted to talk about it for some reason. So, yeah. That was it. And I sent a screenshot to my mate. And he's like, I had a double take when I saw you were on Islamabad studio from the UK. What's going on? But it was very, very random. But very fun. It was a good laugh. So
is it like a film and TV show where they discuss movies, or is it part of a...
It's part of overall news network, basically. So, but the message may say they're looking for somebody to come on and speak about entertainment, show business, film, anything like that. I went, well, film is more what I could really do rather than discuss like tabloids, you know, talk about Bennifer being back on the go, and is it a publicity stunt for Jenny in the Block, you know, anniversary, which I think is incredible if it is. But yeah, that was it. So
I've never thought about that, but then there was a piece in it was like on Twitter or something like that, somebody had shown like now those pictures in the music video where they're on the yacht and they've exactly recreated them, which makes me think, I never even, maybe it is just all a publicity stunt. Maybe true love isn't real after all.
I do like that shot though, Ben Affleck kind of just looks suntan in their arse, but he just looks utterly miserable and depressed.
Yeah, like he's having the worst time.
It's like, I almost think it was that gif for the Batman Superman press rounds. And it's like they're talking about the film. The journalist just slates the film, and Henry Cavill's at like really defensive nerd mode, but Ben Affleck just sits really forlorn, and it zooms in and says, "Hello, darkness, my old friend." And you just feel so sorry for him because you know, I really like the film. It grew on me a lot of the years, but he's very good in it. He just knows he's put so much effort into it. He's just like, oh man, I'm this guy again. I thought people will start to like me. The Town was good. Argo was good.
That's so fun. You see, he's been out this week wearing a "Love Is Love" t-shirt.
I did not know. I love Ben Affleck. I really do. I know there's reasons to cancel him and stuff, and he's not always been like the most well-behaved person in the past, but I really like him. I do.
So are you going to be getting back on to the TV channel anytime soon?
Not that they've said. I'd happily go back on though. But
yeah,
it was interesting. It's just
how long actually was it you were on for?
Not long at all, but 15 minutes at most.
Wow.
Yeah,
because I got a message saying Mr. Thomas suggested you, Mr. Thomas, which gave me a bit of laugh in the first instance. Suggested your name to us, so I just got that in last night. So I'll reply to them and say, yeah, why not? Yep.
Oh, I got that as well, Mr. Thomas.
Yeah.
Because of the time difference, you'll be on like some crazy early morning. I mean, like I don't mean like early morning, 2 in the morning, 5 in the morning type thing, but it'll be like breakfast time. Lightly for you, John. You know, like I don't know how can you handle that one. To be fair,
I'm back at work next week, so that'll be fine. You know, I'll need to be getting up anyway. Cheeky bastards.
But no, it was interesting. It's a wee bit kind of like background, but it was Zoom set up, and when I first went on, the host was there and had a brief little kind of chat with her. Then it cut back off, and I couldn't see anything. I couldn't even see myself. So the guy was the production guy was going to say, "Can you just move this way, move that way?" But I couldn't see myself, so it was quite difficult. But it looked fine at the end.
It looked good,
yeah, it did look really good. I like your wee Funkos in the background as well that you've got.
Yeah, well, I got them. I put them up for because
is that a Norman Bates?
Yeah, Norman Bates.
I've got him as well. Yeah.
I've got the Alien and Ellen Ripley. I've got loads of pops, but we're decorating downstairs and we're painting, so they've had to come off the shelf and boxed up. So when I was setting up the other day, I thought, I'm going to just grab some for the box.
Good shape.
I've got loads of them. I've got absolutely loads of them. I've not bought any in a while though, because I've run out of space on the shelf, and there's a nice symmetry to it.
Mm-hmm.
So I've got 2 shelves where I've got one shelf just put all different pops, and I've got the other one. I was collecting the Defence Against the Dark Arts teachers for Harry Potter. So I've got like different. So I've got Jude Law's Dumbledore, Kenneth Branagh, one of him and stuff like that. Just kind of random.
I've got a few Disney villains. I've got my Norman Bates. I've got my Don Draper, who I just love, and a Mary Poppins, and I've got a Peter Capaldi and a TARDIS.
Mm-hmm.
As well to go with it as well, and I've also got a Hopper from Stranger Things because he's like the best dad bod ever. I
do want the Jaws ones. Once I get the Jaws ones, I could be happy.
Oh yeah, they look good. Have
you seen Black Widow yet, Mary?
Spoil it if you need to. I'm not going to see it.
It's just Hopper's dad bod might be tested to the limit in this.
Oh really?
It was a really good film. To be fair, I think you'd like. Did you like Captain America: Civil War?
I did, yeah.
I would say it's like a very similar vein to that. Would you agree, John?
Yeah, well, it's that kind of spy thriller, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, sort of Cold War.
It's much better. The trailers and publicity make it look to be fit.
The trailers make it look quite terrible, and to be honest with you, I don't really know why it's out now. To me, it kind of feels like the moment has passed for her to have her own movie. I mean, that being said, I've seen quite a few, I know this is on the other end of the spectrum, it's not the same canon at all, but I've seen increasingly positive reviews about the Suicide Squad as well, and chipping away at Chris because I actually quite fancy going to see it, and if I see enough things that say good things about it, he'll want to go and see it.
It's very good, Suicide Squad, really is.
And it's total, it's a standalone. You don't need to have seen anything else to have watched it, even though it is clearly linked to the DCU with the same characters and that. I was just really glad that Jai Courtney was in it because he was one of the best things in the first Suicide Squad film, and he's usually one of the worst things in every other film he does. So it was this, and he's genuinely quite funny. He's got a really good personality when he's allowed to be. He's usually in these kind of like boring action roles. Kind of like what do you call him? The other Australian guy, the guy for Clash of the Titans, Sam Worthington.
Sam Worthington, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Jai Courtney's like a poor man's Sam Worthington, who's a poor man's Channing Tatum. But he's great in the Suicide Squad films, so it's good to see him back in this. And Joel Kinnaman, because I thought he was really good in the first one. He's much better in this.
I've seen a few tweets, people saying that his character has had a glow up, or whatever you want to call it. People are just saying it's a much better depiction of the.
He's totally generic in the first one, just again that kind of generic action role. But in this, there's so much depth to his character. It's very good. And Harley Quinn, let's be honest.
Well, yeah. So I mean, you guys get that. I get Joel Kinnaman's arms, and I also just really love Peter Capaldi, so I'd probably watch him in anything.
It's good. I mean, it's not. I mean, obviously, Margot Robbie's not that she's also pleasing to look at. Anybody with eyes can see that, but I genuinely do love the performances as Harley Quinn. I think she's brilliant. I said this, and I mean this seriously. She could have easily been nominated for an Oscar for Birds of Prey if it was a different kind of film. She was brilliant in that.
I think she seems to be having fun with it as well. But we've obviously covered this a million times over. There definitely is just a snobbery over it's a comic book movie and therefore it's not worthy of the attention or whatever. But she seems to be having fun and by all accounts seems to be liking what they're doing with the character. And I think it's interesting how this almost seems like a redo, and they appear to have given James Gunn, just basically, go and do what you want and make the movie that you want. And it's almost, I'm not saying you disregard the first one because I've not even seen it, but it's interesting how this seems to just be lapped up in the way that the first one just wasn't.
The problem with the first one as well was kind of coming off the back of the bad reviews for Batman Superman. And I didn't do it any favours, but it's also a bit of a mess in a movie. There's what the film was meant to be, and there's like a legendary number of cuts to this movie because the studio just kept interfering. And the David Ayer's obviously came out a lot recently and said, "Look, the film's not mine. That's not my cut." Even they're going to see a Snyder cut version, unfortunately. But you can just watch back the first trailer for the movie, and it's the tone, everything about it's just so different because Deadpool came out and they wanted to make it funnier, which is funny because the new Suicide Squad film seems to me exactly what Warner Brothers wanted the last one to be, except for this time it was for the start rather than halfway through.
Yeah, it definitely feels a lot more playful. Like I remember the first trailer for Suicide Squad, as in the older film, and was it the Harley Quinn Joker one, and it was that I started a joke. Was that because that was quite serious, quite tense, quite arty, and then they obviously kind of tried to make it this sort of kind of balls to the wall action movie, and this one seems a lot more playful, a lot more fun, just kind of from the offset, even from like the marketing materials that they've released. It just seems a lot more like maybe what they should have done with the first one, or maybe what they were going for but didn't quite get to.
It's basically the way the film was finished and then tried to redo it. And you see the trailer for the first one, you see that I started a joke. I remember the first time I seen that, I was like, my God, this film's going to be like groundbreaking and incredible. We're never going to have seen anything like this. Then the Bohemian Rhapsody trailer, I'm like, okay, this seems like a different film all of a sudden. But it was so many scenes in that second trailer that did not make the film.
Oh, really?
That tell you a completely different plot, basically, a subplot involving the Joker.
Yeah, well, because was Jared Leto was he not even surprised to be like, hey, I'm in this movie for like 7 minutes or something? What the fuck?
Yeah, and the thing is, I mean, we've spoken about this before as well, like Michael Keaton's barely in Beetlejuice. He's in there for like 13 minutes or something ridiculous. Even Heath Ledger's not in The Dark Knight that much for a 2.5 hour film. But
the presence was bigger than that.
But it doesn't work for a plot. Yeah, I mean, but it doesn't work if you cut all his best bits out as well. And I think that's what happened with kind of Jared Leto, who they also recut the film to change the relationship with Harley and Joker because the original idea was a lot more kind of abusive. I mean, they try to turn that into some kind of Bonnie and Clyde type thing, which again worked from a comic point of view, but it just was a tonal mess in the movie.
Yeah,
it's a shame because.
It's interesting because I do think that, like, if you read some of the graphic novels, the relationship is abusive and it's quite dark. And I think that, see, if you were to explore that on its own and just leave it like that, it would be really interesting. But you either have to decide, does that fit into if you're going to make this sort of like, almost like, I'm not saying like Adam West Batman, but it almost feels like those big, like, kapow signs and all this kind of big, bright, brash comic book movie. If you're going to do that, you can't have that type of relationship. You need to do the sort of Bonnie and Clyde thing. And I think it's about getting that. I would be quite happy to see a Joker and Harley Quinn movie that was like really dark as fuck.
Yeah, definitely. But speaking of Harley Quinn character as well, she changes so much for the Suicide Squad to Birds of Prey. And you can just tell different people are involved in the character. It's an evolution of the character. It's quite interesting. You've ever seen Birds of Prey, have you, Mary?
No, it's got Ewan McGregor in it, so no.
Ewan McGregor's performance in that
is... on that one.
I am still not sure if Hugh McGregor is brilliant in that film or horrifically bad. It's John.
Right.
You've seen it.
He is. I think he's excellent in it. He's really good. I don't think his sort of performance in a lot of stuff in the last 5 years or so. He's a different type of actor now than he was when he started out. He's sort of mid-career. It's just totally different now.
It's an absolutely insane performance. The film's worth watching. I think it's really good. I say Margot Robbie steals the show, but a close second is Hugh McGregor in that film. He's a very camp but evil, sadistic, and off-the-wall villain.
Is he like?
There's no likable redeeming.
Maybe like Branagh in Tenet or something like that. That kind of almost chewing the scenery type of.
Oh, he's definitely chewing the scenery, but he's nowhere near as sophisticated as Branagh in Tenet. Or Tenet, sorry.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's probably not. I must admit, I've kind of fallen out of love with DC. It's because you'd mentioned in the group chat about how they keep coming out with really good films. There's not been, apart from I think Shazam. I'm trying to think of anything else that I've watched recently that's been DC, and I really can't think, which is quite bad.
Give Buzz a Prey a watch. I think you'd like it.
Okay, I'll just fast forward the Ian McGregor bits, or.
Oh, you honestly, I think I don't think it's going to change your mind on Hugh McGregor, but I think you can be being glad you watched Hugh McGregor.
Okay. I'm intrigued, right? But okay.
And then you can follow up and watch Halston on Netflix.
His accent alone in the trailer for that made me want to vomit.
It's actually really good. I watched that.
Is it?
Weeks ago. Yeah, it was good. I'd never really heard of the designer or anything before, but it was a pretty good drama, obviously set in the 70s and 80s in New York. So yeah, he's very good in that as well. And he was very good in Fargo, third season of Fargo. He played two roles.
I've still not watched that. I've only watched the first episode of that. He's good in Doctor Sleep as well. I thought he was really good in that.
Yep.
Oh, Sammy, I meant to say to you, I've nearly finished season 2 of Succession, so I've watched the first 2 seasons of that. I am loving it. It's funny because it reminds me of House of Cards in the sense that there's no one to like or sort of latch on to, apart from maybe Greg. He's like, that. He's kind of a big dork, and I'm at the stage now where I'm halfway through season 2 and I'm kind of feeling a wee bit sorry for Matthew McFadden's character, but then part of me's like, why am I feeling sorry for him? He's an arsehole too. But then they've just had that big leaders retreat, and like the scene with the hot dogs and stuff like that, I actually had to fast forward it because I was so ill. I was like, this is the worst fucking thing I've ever seen happen. I need this to end. So that's, I think, the last episode I watched. I've only got like 4 left of season 2, but it's very, very good. Very good.
Is that the boar on the floor?
Yes.
Yes,
it's horrendous. So sick. That made me feel so sick. Sorry, my wee screen protector is just falling off. That made me feel sick. It made me be thankful for all the management retreats that I've been on where we've just had to like present it on a whiteboard as opposed to do anything like that,
Yeah, I mean, if your boss is like that, is it really worth it?
I know. Do people like that really exist?
Yes.
Do you honestly think people are that fucking awful? I suppose to get to the top of something, although it did make me laugh. There's the scene where Tom brings the guy in and he's like, I need to ask you a few questions. I don't want this to be awkward, but do you have a dog named Blondie? And he's like, yeah, but it's spelled differently. It's not the Hitler dog. And he's like, have you ever read Mein Kampf? And he's like, just a couple of times. And he's like, a couple of times? What Easter eggs did you miss the first time? And then he starts rattling off the list of people that died in World War II. And he's like, well, about 6 million light. So, and I was like, this I actually called Chris and I was like, you're so going to appreciate this. This is hilarious. Just made me a better chat one here.
Which one? So many.
Yeah, I was surprised you didn't pick Love Camp 7 as one of your band films, maybe.
Listen, there was a lot of stuff I could have gone down a dark rabbit hole, but I decided to keep it light.
Yeah, as light as you can with this subject.
Yeah, no Triumph of the Will or anything like that. Nothing.
They did show us a bit of that in uni, but I've never obviously watched the full thing. But we did see a bit of it in uni.
So the fact that you said you've obviously not watched the full thing, that's not obvious to me.
It was like I was trying to debate whether or not Salo would be appropriate to talk about, but I thought maybe not.
Well, it has been banned, so yeah. I've never watched. I've seen a few clips from it and thought, nah, you're all right. I'm good, thanks. I don't need to watch that to know why it was banned. Sometimes there's a curiosity factor, but no, not this time. It was like, no, I'm good.
Yeah, that's how I feel about Serbian film. I don't need to know what's in it to know that I don't need to see it.
Exactly the film that came in mind before you mentioned it there. That's that part of me that still wants to say I've seen it, but at the same time, I don't know. I sit and watch it.
No, I think it would put me in a dark place for quite some time, and I think that I totally agree with freedom of expression and being able to, because art is subjective and all that sort of thing. But I don't need to see it, and I'm okay with being in that place. I don't need to see it.
Yeah, but there's like controversy for controversy's sake a lot of the time. You kind of feel that way watching some films. You think, they've done that because it's controversial.
Yeah. Very true.
Yeah, I do feel like now this kind of whole narrative around people fainted at Cannes, or people were sick at the Venice Film Festival, or people walked out. I do feel like a lot of it is almost kind of done to get that type of press, as opposed to actually wanting to make a valid point.
Yeah. One of my choices definitely ticks that box.
It's interesting that none of us chose any Tarantino films. Was that because we were going to talk about them separately?
I was going to pick Reservoir Dogs actually, but then I thought, you know what, there's going to be another opportunity for Reservoir Dogs to come up in a choice. I think better for me. I could have picked Battle Royale again, but I talk about it that much in this podcast that I thought I'd try films that I hadn't. I mean, why the films I've picked I don't even like, but I do want to speak about it.
It's not necessarily a prerequisite for picking a film. It's not top threes. It's just it's top threes, I suppose, but it's three films that sort of come to mind. It doesn't have to be three favourites or anything. Because my last choice, I think it was an alright film, but it wasn't a great film. But it ticks the boxes. Yeah. Ticks the boxes a bit better than Mother. Because that was only controversial. I know you hated it. I read your review of it again today.
I loved it.
I thought it was great. It was in my top 10 that year. Yeah. But
I actually think I've seen all the films you have picked as well, which is very interesting.
I haven't seen. I think I've seen a couple of yours, Simi. I don't think. I can't remember what your first one was, but I definitely haven't seen the second one you've picked, just because, again, I'm like, I don't want to put myself through that.
A quick question though, what's the director's name for this film? How do you pronounce it? Is it Prano? Is it Prano? It's Welsh.
Yeah. I thought it was Prano, but again,
I'll go with Prano.
I think it is. I think I've heard something about it before and they said it was Prano. So yeah.
You've fucking seen me before when that Pakistani news channel the other day googling interviews with Andy Muschietti to see how his name is pronounced.
Well, see, I would have thought it was Muschietti, as in bruschetta, but I'm obviously wrong.
Well, maybe Kevin Smith was wrong when he introduced him to the interview, but that's what I said. And although his name's like Andre, everybody calls him Andy, so I was like, well, Andy it is, which I find to be a bit. I don't know if that's. I don't know if he likes that. I don't know if it's some kind of oppression.
Makes it sound as if you know him a wee bit better.
Yeah.
Than just somebody looked up his name in the internet. How to spell his name.
I was never seeing your trailer. I refused to watch the new trailers for that Halloween because I want to see them in the cinema. As sad as that might sound. There's some trailers I watch happily at the house, but there's some I'm like, no, I want to just let me see it in the cinema if I see it at all.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just to give away too much. I did see there was a rumour down the rounds that Kevin Feige said he wasn't going to release a trailer for the new Spider-Man movie, and that it was going to it wasn't everybody to experience it in the cinema. It was lies. It was lies. There's no way in hell I'm not going to. I mean, I was listening to a podcast the other day with Neil Blomkamp, and he was saying about his film Demonic that he's trying his best to hold stuff back, but the way YouTube is and that, people want to release as many trailers as possible because that gets the hits. So you're always going to get 500 trailers in a movie.
I think that's where the Censor trailer has kind of thrown people off as well, though, because to get these it's just like clickbait type of thing. Like, oh, let's release this trailer because it looks choppy and all this sort of thing, and blood and blah blah. I think the movie's a completely different thing, and I feel like that's not, especially to such a small indie like that. I almost think that's really doing it a disservice by setting it up and people's expectations for something that it's absolutely not. Like, your big blockbusters, your Spider-Mans, all that can get away with that to a certain extent. people are always going to go and see it. They're always going to pay their money. But I fear for smaller films like that. But you're right, it's to do with YouTube and hits and all that sort of thing. On the upside, the Venom Let There Be Carnage trailer was out, and fuck all of y'all, I still love this film.
I watched the trailer for that, to be fair, and I loved all the use of the music, and I can't wait to see Tom Hardy and Woody Harrelson go head to head. I just think it's going to be absolutely mental. I do think they'll have learned from the first one, and they might take the kid gloves off a little.
I don't understand. Like, okay, everyone was saying Upgrade was the movie that Venom should have been, but I don't understand why Venom got all of the vitriol that it did. I didn't think it was. I've seen a lot worse. Like,
I liked it.
It was that bad.
I liked Venom. I thought it was a fun movie. My only kind of thing with it was, especially with the marketing campaign, the trailer that they were really kind of pushing for this really kind of like horror-based, R-rated like comic book movie, and it was teasing that through the movie, but never really committed. And it almost I had to put that bit as well. We speaking to Venom, and it's like, we'll only hurt bad people from now on. We need to kind of get across that you're not a villain, and like for good guys here and stuff. And I'm kind of like, it's just forced. It felt forced.
But again, it comes down to this whole thing, like, so what you're saying about Suicide Squad, and you're saying like that's not the movie I made. Like, you do wonder how much of that's studio interference, because I bet you there's plenty of directors who have maybe washed their hands or something, or have had to walk away and have been fired or whatever, who watch a movie that their name is attached to, and it's inherently their movie, but they're looking at it going, what the fuck is this? Because that's not how I how I piece this together or whatever. So you do wonder how much of it's the kind of Sony interference.
Yeah, a lot of the time directors don't have enough clout to actually be in charge of the promotion of the film. There's very few of them. Christopher Nolan is one who has complete creative control from start to finish. So when you see trailers for his films, they tend not to give away too much, because he's the one that's actually been involved in the cutting of it and making sure there are no images that he doesn't want there. Whereas with the likes of, like, say, with Censor and obviously a lot of these studio films, like the MCU films, it's out of the hands of the director. These basically, it's not to put them down anyway, but they're kind of directors for hire on these films. So they don't have the control that they may actually want or they may actually need in order to tease a film without showing too much. So it's a bit of a shame, but like I say, they want to get as many bottoms on seats as possible, so they're going to give away things, but it just gets ridiculous sometimes. It really does.
Yeah,
I mean, it literally. All I was going to say, I've seen trailers where I feel like I've seen the film, and I'm like, okay, well, there's no point in watching this now because.
For that, sorry, the Terminator movies, the recent ones.
Oh, that was awful. Yeah, it was really bad. I managed to spoil Fast 9 for my son last week because we were working our way through them, and we've watched up till 7, and I think it was Giselle had just died at the end of 7. Sorry, Mary, I know you're going to watch them at some point, but she dies, obviously, and then obviously it's Han as well. He dies, and then obviously he's now back, but it's in the trailers for Fast 9. It's a reveal in one of the trailers, which I thought was a bit off. They could have kind of kept that life of the film. I was talking to him about the fact, characters come back. The fact, like, I'd forgotten that Vin Diesel had actually died at one point in one of the films. I think it was the 5th one, and he was brought back by Hetty saying, "Don't you leave me" or something. Come back to me, Dominic. So as I said, I wonder how many others are going. Maybe Giselle will be coming back at some point, because you never actually see her dying. She just drops off a car that's halfway up. It's starting to go up into the air. It's a long story, Mary. Don't worry about it.
Magnets?
No. This was cables that had attached to the plane.
I see. I just remember from our chat and the Raven that there was magnets.
There's magnets. Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah. So I was saying, I wonder how many more are going to come back. Obviously, with Han coming back, and he turns around and says, "What? Han's back?"
No!
I says, "What? Have you not seen the trailer?" He says, "No, I was avoiding the trailers."
That's the thing. It's like I seen something on Twitter that said Han was back, because I hadn't seen the trailer, and I was like, "Oh man, I can't believe Twitter's ruined it." But I didn't realise it was so involved in the marketing campaign. I went to Cineworld. It was on the poster.
Yeah, aye.
I'm like, okay, but the Terminator, specifically Terminator Genesis and Salvation, ruined the big twist in both movies.
Yep.
And it's like,
But like, who allows that? Who thinks that's a good idea? Because like, there is no point in watching the film in that case. And do you know what? I understand. But then, actually, I was going to say I understand maybe people who haven't seen the rest of the franchise and stuff like that. But actually, you can weave that into the movie. You don't need to do that in the trailer.
It's not even like I've never seen the other ones. Have you seen Terminator Genesis and Salvation, Mary? I don't want to spoil them then if you've not seen them.
I mean, I'll just watch the trailers.
Yeah, fair enough. Basically, like, and Sam Worthington's character is quite like mysterious in Salvation, and the reveal like halfway through the fucking movie is actually a Terminator who believes he's human. He's been programmed to think he's human. They show you that in the trailer, but it's a big reveal in the movie. In Terminator Genesis, they bring back an adult John Connor, and you're like, "Oh, this is like interesting." And in the trailer, you reveal he's actually a Terminator.
But you honestly have to ask the question: who? Like, I know, John, you're so right. There's probably, I mean, I would argue that maybe for 9 out of 10 trailers, the director has nothing to do with it, maybe. But you just wonder who in a studio or whatever is making these decisions to go, do you know what would be really fucking good? You know, that's like, you know, at The Sixth Sense, let's just tell him in the trailer he's fucking dead all along. Like, who does that? It's the whole point.
There's ones that get spoiled and you don't even realise it until you see the film. There's one, I can't remember what the film is actually, but it was one that was just really recently. And I watched the film and then I saw the trailer for it, and the trailer had the very final scene of the film, like the happy ending. And it was just kind of slotted into the trailer about halfway through it, and I didn't think anything of it at the time. But then if you see the trailer and you're waiting for this bit to happen, you know, and then it only turns up right at the end, you kind of think, fuck's sake, man, that's awful. That's really bad.
That is really bad. I'm all for keeping trailers as minimalistic as possible with as little. Like, I want to be intrigued enough to want to go and see it, but I don't need the whole story.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, there's actually the trailer for Predator, the original VHS trailer for that. I'll find it on YouTube. I'll send it in the chat. I used to have it on, it was Robocop or I can't remember what the film was, but it was a trailer for Predator before it. And I'm just glad I've seen it. It's not a trailer, it's a summary in the movie. It's like somebody's just been like, it's Predator in 3 minutes.
Have you seen the mashup of the credit scene in Predator when it's, you know, it's giving you all the characters, and it's the Golden Girls theme tune that they have with it?
No, that sounds amazing.
And it works really well.
That sounds absolutely amazing. I love the Golden Girls.
Which is now on Star in its entirety, yeah.